How's it going, everybody? My name is Beagle Boy, and this is gonna be a kind of a different stream that I'm gonna end up doing because this isn't one I'm typically used to doing, as I am in no way qualified to basically be teaching anybody on what to and not to do on the internet or social media in general, because I'm still learning myself. But I kind of wanted to share my story at least one time. Now, to explain this further, most of you guys know me on YouTube under the Beagle Boy name. Very few will know me by my older name, basically my legal name, at this given point in time, like during 2021. But what some of you have not known about is that I have actually been on YouTube since 2012. At that point, I had barely just, or at least I was about to hit double digits, like age wise, mainly because at the time I didn't understand how age regulations worked at the time. So technically, I started way too sooner than I thought. And as a result, this kind of spiraled into what would come to the modern day. So think of this as a bit of a story stream. Hey, what's happening, Lady M?
Not much. What's up?
Not much. I'm actually about to about to tell everybody about when I first started on YouTube and what kind of led up to the modern day now. I'm basic think of it as kind of like, I don't want to say like an anniversary type of stream, but all except for name, I guess.
Mm.
So, that being said, my very first my very first channel that I had, which I am not going to say the name of, as it does contain personal information at the time, I used to do 2 videos total on it. One was a video called Par, I'm Allergic to Par, which was me putting a camera in front of a golf game on TV, and apparently I had pretty much made a stupid punchline that could be seen as a meme. Hence the term, like, somebody got a par, and how I said, Par, I'm allergic to par. For some random reason, I don't know why. But at the time, I thought it was funny enough to post on the internet, especially YouTube. However, that went absolutely nowhere. And the second video that I did was basically some veterinarian tips where I tried to like copy like the one YouTube video from 2005 with the whole tree trunk, not tree trunks. Elephants have very long trunks. How the dude is like, this here is an elephant. And a cool fact about them is that they have very long trunks. That was kind of essentially how my first channel essentially went, and therefore it all just was kind of for fun, not really meant to be taken seriously. But at the time, I sort of grew out of it and never bothered to continue that channel ever again until about the mid 2010s. But I'm going to give the floor to the others to comment on that little segment. Firelord, floor is yours.
I actually have no saying on this part because I couldn't think or even process this through while you were speaking, so I got no way to say anything on that.
All right. So, anything you'd like to add on that, Lady M?
No, I really don't. Kind of same as Fire Lord. I really have nothing to say on that one.
Right. I get that. But then we come to the modern, well, not modern, the mid 2010s, around 2015, 2016. I was I was kind of toying around with the idea of of doing another kind of not really a series, but doing another kind of sprung of content creation. However, the problem with that was I didn't know what the hell I was doing, as all of the attempts that I've made at filming was basically essentially like kind of a raw cut, like one and done type of thing. I had no clue what video editing was until 2018. So at the time I didn't know anything about Windows Movie Maker and I didn't which means I didn't know shit about Adobe Premiere. So therefore all of my takes were pretty much okay, film it once, release whatever you have. And that was because I mean obviously I was a young kid at the time, didn't know what the hell I was doing. Like so it was never really a big issue for me until I ended up getting my own channel, like, or at least my other channel. And this one's going to be a little harder for me to talk about. Around 2015, 2016 ish, I went under I had started doing more. I started doing a lot more ranting and commentating, like kind of on my own time, as well as reacting per se. That's when I started my own channel, what I used to call myself at the time, and I don't wish to be referred to as this, so anybody who watches this afterwards, refrain from saying this. Blood Wolf 720. Yes, that's what I used to call myself back then, trying to act all edgy, and pretty much it was just really cringe in hindsight. But at the time, I thought, now that I started getting a better grasp on how social media worked and how video making worked most of the time, I thought to myself, I don't have to be careful about what I post. I could pretty much do whatever I want. That's where the downward spiral began. I ended up starting doing more rants and specifically on character discourse and different topics that I was passionate about, like mentioned before, character discourse, but also fan brat drama. If you could think about it, I was essentially kind of playing a character by being a angry video game nerd meets drama alert. Weird combo, I know. But that's basically the best way I can describe it. What it all came down to was that it became entirely draining on how I was making content and how most of the time it was more so like trying to push out the numbers, catch on trends, rather than actually doing it from the passion of my heart. Now, I don't want to make that entire segment on doing what anyone else would do, saying, I was acting like somebody I wasn't, or the video should not have been made, because I feel like I would be learning absolutely nothing from that as a result, and therefore basically instead try to actually see what it is that went wrong. Well, first acknowledge what went wrong and how to learn better from it. So at the time, I did more rants and commentaries, though none of them really exist anymore because I deleted the channel about 2020-ish. So about a good 5 years, give or take. And by that point, it kind of became a point where I was trying to do it like more as an escape rather than as an actual release. Oftentimes I would have like some sort of like itching feeling where I would be like, man, I wish time would actually get done quicker on doing what I essentially need to do so I can go make those videos. And that essentially caused way more problems than it actually did solve. Anything you like to add on?
Now to actually add on to that, first off, when you said about Windows Movie Maker, it's actually quite impressive that you did learn about that. The problem was, if you did set yourself out that you didn't know crap about how you were supposed to be doing Windows Movie Maker, which even I was having trouble at first, but I actually immediately understood what I was supposed to be doing and learned for that. The first use I did was Windows Movie Maker. I should have expected you be here, Blue.
Howdy there, Blue. What's up?
Blue? Oh, give him a moment.
Yeah, I probably thought it was like technical issues, but go ahead.
I'll continue. Even I at first wasn't sure what the hell am I supposed to be doing, but I immediately picked up on it. So I was mostly self-taught how I was doing it through Windows XP, believe it or not. God, this takes me all those years back. Had I actually taught you how to use the Windows Movie Maker at that point, I would have helped you with that. And even then, I would have been able to. The problem even then, I wasn't able to have a better recording footage of what I should have had, or at least I had it. But that's kind of a big of an issue for that. So even then, you wouldn't. Had we actually met years earlier, I would have helped you with that. I really would.
Well, to tell you the truth, I didn't know anything about video editing. My first exposure to it was Adobe Premiere Pro. I didn't know about Movie Maker until years later, like after it closed down. So chances are, had we known earlier, chances are I probably would have been like, what the hell is a Windows Movie Maker?
The Windows Movie Maker I used was 2.6. Yes, it may have been a bit dated, and even then, it may be a little bit of trash, but
Hang on one
it got
second.
the job done. Okay. Well, this was inconvenient. Ah, shit. Your laptop doesn't work anymore. Fuck. Wait, I hear something. Fuck, I was afraid of that. Ah, shit. God damn it.
Sorry about that. Just got an unusual phone call.
His laptop mic doesn't work anymore. He was going to use his Windows PC, but then he got sick. Fuck.
Oh, damn. And there he is again.
I don't think we could actually hear him because he got sick.
Okay, yeah. But anyways, to elaborate on what was going on earlier, I didn't know anything about video editing at the time, so pretty much I kind of just sucked ass at doing commentaries and reactions because, well, you got to know how to edit in order to actually do them. So that's kind of where mistake number one was made.
Even I wasn't aware how the hell am I was I even I wasn't aware how the hell was I supposed to doing it. But again, that was at first until I learned how I actually was doing by editing it. So at least that part of me actually I had a bit of a downright, well, I wouldn't say amateurish, let's just say, but I was able to do video editing myself. So it was not you're not the only one who's experiencing that.
Right.
But to put it simply, Big Boy, it only further made me it only made me further to use video editing as far as that's concerned. Mostly for genres that I wanted to do. But come 2015, 2016, I started to use Vegas Pro 13 for post productions, and that's how I was able to somewhat adapt to it, which is something that I could have easily taught you with that or with the Vegas Pro 13 had we actually met again.
Which I'm going to elaborate further on in the stream when the time comes.
Yes.
Anyways, Blue, is your mic working?
No, it's he's. Do you not heard what? Do you not read what he said? He got sick.
Okay, yeah. I just thought with him being muted, I didn't want to make the conversation dominant on just one or the other. That's why I was asking, just to be considerate.
Okay, makes sense. All right. Now, at that point, had we actually met before and taught you how to use a Windows Movie Maker 2.6 and then on Vegas Pro 13, I would have actually helped you with that. But we have not met at that given point in time frame, so we wouldn't know about that. But without dominating that conversation, shall you carry on with that? We are left off 2020 part.
Well, that was just when I was saying that how I deleted the Bloodwolf 720 channel. Well, to kind of elaborate what had happened, how that went, I was basically in my teenage years at the time when I was still going under that when going under that username. The unfortunate part about that was, since I was using the channel as a means of escape instead of the other way around, it kind of essentially developed a point where, and whenever my day-to-day life was going on, I essentially had some sort of itching feeling man, I wish the day would just get over with right now so I can make those videos. Because at the time, I was trying to catch trends, I was trying to push for numbers instead of actually being passionate. Because at the time, not only were reaction videos the hit thing at the time, but so was commentary rant style videos like Leafy is here, Grade A under A, you name it. And essentially at the time I tried to cash in mostly. Which that creates mistake number 2, that I should not have tried to do it just for the numbers, because in the end I was essentially selling myself out, and at the time it made me kind of directionless, since I never had a clear focus on what it is I actually wanted as a result, and was just doing a bunch of other things, that it kind of became alienating, so to speak. So that was mistake number 2, if I had to put a pin on that. Which leads to mistake number 3, and the biggest part. never never let your social life, as in your real life, dictate what you do on your internet life, and vice versa. Like, always find a way to separate the two, because around the late 2010s, like 2019-ish, that was where my desire for content creation started becoming more of a necessity than a release. And that's where the most problems started coming.
Ouch.
Basically, what I learned through that whole thing was when you allow one to dictate over the other, it could sap away a lot of energy. Because basically, like how they teach you about the whole work-life balance. Well, essentially, I was having the two kind of like fight each other necessarily. So sometimes, or most times necessarily, like, there would be people online or IRL that would pretty much kind of think, what the hell? Like, okay, what the hell? Am I subscribing to blood? I almost was about to call myself that at one point. Like, am I subscribing to this dude because of him? Or am I subscribing to him, like, because of the act? Because keep in mind, when I mentioned the whole, like, cross between angry video game nerd and drama alert, I essentially was acting like this freaking, like, fake-ass furry edgelord, basically as a mockery to both groups. And really, that didn't help any measures either.
Dang.
Yeah, I hear you laughing there.
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't laughing. I only said "damn" in a serious manner.
Oh, well, I heard scuffling going on. I thought that was laughing. My apologies.
Continue.
Yeah, so, and I knew that was becoming a problem, so I said something to myself out loud like, I need to stop being so worked up over social media life. But I couldn't. And I didn't really know why for the most part. Or more specifically, I was in denial of it. And it essentially made it a lot worse. Essentially, I was acting like two different people in one day. I mean, not in one day. Like, essentially acting like two people at once. And by that point, it got to a point where I no longer could hide the truth anymore. So by the time COVID came around, I essentially decided that it was time to light the can on fire. I had just become drained out by it. And Bloodwolf 720 was dead after that point. I retired the channel, retired the username, pretty much shut out everything that had happened. Anything you would like to add?
Well, with everything that you just described, I honestly do not have any comment on that.
Nor do I really nor am I surprised. Mostly. Which now gets to the other part, since some of you guys have heard about Firelord mentioned had we met earlier. That's where I'm going to answer that question. How we met. In 2020, after deleting Bloodwolf 720, I had started appearing in a few other servers under my actual name at the time because I didn't know what the hell to call myself. around that time, Firelord and I met because I had seen a couple of original character designs he made that was related to a franchise that I personally like called Sonic the Hedgehog. That being said, I had took it similar I had I had taken a similar interest saying, "Hey, I really like your designs here. By the way, I also have this one character that I made a while ago. Not really sure what to do with it. What like asking for input and direction, and essentially everything else afterwards kind of just kicked off after that point, where we were exchanging ideas to storytelling purposes, and basically kind of just hit it off from there.
But not before we actually met prior to situation that I will not address it here.
And for the better.
Yes. But I suppose even with that kind of thing, we were able to exchange some of ideas and see what's that. And you obviously like my character, so I thought, okay, you may have some potential for that. Now, even with that kind of situation, there were points in time that I honestly wish I could have commissioned you, but the issue is I don't trust. There are several service payments that I will be willing to do that, but I don't trust it. There are several payments that I don't trust, like PayPal, which it's worth shit. I know I shouldn't have said that, but it's not. The PayPal is not worth a damn.
Right. That being said, however, after exchanging ideas, like a few days kind of goes by, and then once I somewhere down the line, I kind of mentioned we kind of hopped in VCs from time to time. At the time when I knew him under his older channel that I'm not gonna name, I basically kind of. Yes. At first, I didn't recognize him at first when he hopped in on a VC that I was in trying to grab my attention or something. At first, I was like, "Who the heck is Firelord Curson?" And that's when he told me who he was, and I was like, "Oh, now I remember you. It's been a while since I've heard from you. What happened, man?"
Obviously.
And yeah, and that's when he kind of told me exactly what had happened, which I'm not going to get into for respect of his privacy. That being said, I essentially felt like he was somebody I could, kind of lean to when I was dealing with whenever I had a question about something, or if I was feeling a certain way, if I ever needed input from somebody, and therefore that's where it would kind of take off.
Yes.
However, there might have been points where it became too many that I did. I mean, not in a bad way, of course, but whenever it became too... But in a sense, how it kind of created a bit more chain reaction, necessarily, to where it led to an entire big ball of events that led to now. Obviously, I took a bit of a break from YouTube when I was still doing the whole Sonic Reborn thing before ultimately canceling that earlier this year. However, after meeting a few people, not just Firelord, but also Blue, who also is here, and how we had a few others, like Lady M from earlier, ZTB, Slick, Mason from Beagle Clan, as well
Psycho
as...
is special.
Well, yeah, but also how when we were off camera, we would sometimes do karaoke nights and movie nights where I would meet others like Psycho Yakko, previously mentioned, and Outer Heaven. So, after getting to kind of know some more people around, I thought to myself, I've been starting to get a real kick into streaming lately. I want to do an entire series of this, and that was kind of where the idea of Beagle Clan came in. Originally, I tried to do it as a bit of a Wild Western theme because I thought, okay, well, people have done a Norse god theme, people have done a medieval theme. It was either Wild West or a Caribbean style theme, like with pirates. And so I kind of went back and forth about what one to do. But then I saw the latest Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny last summer, and that's where I decided Wild West it is. And that's kind of where I put 2 and 2 together on that aspect. And from the looks of it, when I made the Beagle Clan as well as Cards Against Non-Humane streams, I essentially felt more like being myself, able to separate fact from fantasy, especially between real life and social media life. Therefore, I never felt like that I had to pretend to be someone that I'm not.
That you're not.
And as a result, it wound up being for the better. Sure, there were a few bridges I had to burn to get to where I am now. But in some ways, it taught me a lot because really, you learn more from your mistakes than you do your successes, as it's hard to catch lightning in a bottle twice. Anything you'd like to add?
To be perfectly honest, it's actually somewhat valid that you say that the more you learn from your mistakes, the more you actually grow out of that. I especially would have to add on to that for the mere fact that we were able to meet each other during the 2020s is something that I have to highly appreciate that we were able to do that. At least for what you're talking about, I believe as clear as day, even for what you're talking about. However, one thing that I will not actually forget that day that we'll deal with certain someone. Again, I'm not gonna refer to it, and it's best to leave it at that. Is simply we were able to do that. The next best thing that yes, how could I forget about that? You obviously forgot who you were referring to, my Australian friend.
That's right. Infinite Retro from Fate Fight All Thy Enemies.
Yes.
However, for those who have watched this channel and don't know who exactly that person is, I'm sure if Firelord wants to give the link to that episode, but there was a series called Fatecast that Firelord was a co-star in, basically saying where they were discussing on the newest Mortal Kombat 1, or Mortal 1 Combat, as I like to call it to help differentiate it from the original.
Or this is actually what some people even refer to it, Moron Combat 1.
Okay, that's pushing it a little bit.
No, that's not even pushing it. It's just simply how some of the people actually refer to it because it's just moronic.
Touche. But anyways, I caught wind of this episode, and Firelord acknowledged my comment and decided, you know what? I want to bring Beagle here. So he gave me the directions on how to hop in, and essentially somehow was able to make history by being on Infinite Retro's stream, which I'm definitely grateful that I had the chance to do it, as I kind of just planned on it being like a one and done thing where I just gave my takes on Mortal Kombat at the time, or at least for the new game, like kind of just ask like whatever questions I had on my mind, to strike up a conversation, because I wanted to hear from others' perspectives. As I always thought, when you come at things from unexpected angles, people pay attention more, which is what I was hoping to do.
Yes. He had to head off to the bed. He had to head to bed for now, is what Blue's saying.
Well, no worries. I mean, he was getting sick, so, hopefully he gets better.
Yes, carry on.
But yeah, that's kind of how that story went, and that's where we are. That's where we are today. Me doing a bunch of streams under Beagle Clan, learning from the mistakes that I made with my first and second attempts, 2 strikes, and essentially a home run. I'd say it was definitely worth it for the most part. But like I said earlier, instead of regretting the videos and acting like something I never was, instead I thought it would be better to try to learn from the mistakes and acknowledge where I went wrong and how to do better from it. And that's where we are today.
Yes.
That being said, I have, for the most part, explained everything I wanted to, and that concludes my story for this stream. Let me know if you guys do actually want to see more storytime streams like this. Not sure if it'll actually go anywhere, but kind of just a throwing out there. If anybody wants it to continue. Anything you would like to add before I end the stream, speak now or forever hold your peace.
At this point, oh yes, almost forgot. Especially, yes, the movie night. How could you forget about that?
I take it you're referring to when I was talking about wanting to do the adult voice dub for Shrek?
Yes.
Well, yeah, we did hint about this on my Where I've Been stream, but that's obviously still in the works.
Yes. Although I meant more so the movie night that we were watching when we were watching the Shrek movie.
Well, I mentioned it earlier, saying that that's how I met everyone.
Oh yes, okay. That makes logical sense. Okay, I don't think I have to add anything else to that. So I have said what I have said.
Oh wait, actually, before I go, there actually is one question that is being asked by Gabe. I think I'm saying that name right. Do you regret what you posted? Not all the way. It's not really what I post is what I regret. More so, I regret the tactics that I did to make content, because it felt like I had some ass backwards logic in how video making was. That's probably what I would say. Like, no, I don't regret what I post, more so how I did.
Logical.
And that being said, I will be taking off and ending this stream. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to listen to this, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good day, night, whatever time zone you live in, and I will see you all next time.
See you all.